Well, welcome to Coffee with Patty, episode 9. I have a really special guest here today, Andrea Guzman. She works with American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and she's a programs manager there. Los Angeles chapter.
Greater Los Angeles and
Los
Central
Angeles
Coast.
And Central Coast. So it's a big area.
Yes, wide scope.
So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Patty.
I've worked with you guys in the past. My son Kayvon did a show, You'll Never Be Alone show.
Never Be Alone it's now crypto, but yeah, 2020, fall 22?
Yes, 22.
Yes, yeah.
And then the Santa Monica Walk for Darkness.
Yeah, the Out of the Darkness
Out of the
walks.
Darkness Walk. And that was really, really touching ceremony. It was really, really nice. So it's so great to have you here and just to talk a little bit about you and your life, and then we can talk about where you work and what you do.
That sounds wonderful. No, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to just chatting with you and having some coffee.
All right.
Really good.
Yeah, there's a little bit here. I drank some of it on
No, you're good.
So usually I don't do the podcast at this late at night, but this is what worked for today. So I took a nap, so I should be all set.
Yeah, there you go.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, Andrea Guzman. I'm born and raised in Angelino. I'm actually born in Burbank and then raised in Studio City, North Hollywood.
Okay.
So, there's a story there within itself talking about history and culture in that own way. And yeah, growing up in Studio City, North Hollywood, I think back then in the 90s was definitely a time like my elementary school was right by the Malcolm in the Middle house, which was that like super nostalgic, like just front-facing realm off of like Ventura and such. So it's definitely was a time like we had the holiday parade that would shut down Ventura too.
Yeah.
Some Girl Scouts and all that. Yeah.
The holiday parade, I used to work for the Hollywood Chamber as a member of services. So we were in charge of the parade, and that was a really big event.
It was.
So you were part of that one, the one in Hollywood?
The one in Studio City.
Oh, the one in Studio City.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that was, they would close, I want to say like Colfax to Laurel Canyon. They would close it. And I was in Girl Scouts at the time. So we'd march down the parade. I remember at one point they had like animals and stuff during the holiday parade too.
Great.
But the shops would be closed and folks would be like selling hot cocoa and things. So just a community affair at that time.
Really good community.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Late 90s.
Yeah. So I worked in Van Nuys in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. I started out in Reseda, Van Nuys area. So I know that area.
It's funny because I'm now in Van Nuys.
Oh, okay.
I now live in Van Nuys. So I grew up Studio City, North Hollywood, and then I went to San Francisco for college for 10 years and then came back. And so now I'm in the Van Nuys area. So staying San Fernando Valley has been nice.
Compared to San Francisco?
I love San Francisco. I think was a wonderful time to spend my early 20s to mid 20s as well. I'm an only child. So it was really a first step for me to go outside of the house. I'm first generation college student. So that was its own journey and feat. And I think maybe internal pressures in its own way, but also spreading my wings, like being able to live with other people, meet new folks that
Did you have roommates?
Yeah. I had a freshman year roommate in a dorm. And then my good friends who I'm actually going to be seeing this weekend, I've known for like 10 years now since college. So
you stayed friends all these years.
Yeah. That different chapter of our 20s, it really lands home. It just opens something new.
I get that. My daughter's in her 20s. She's in San Francisco now, and I think she's making a lot of great friends.
Yeah. Where in San Francisco is she?
She is, she's going to Hastings Law School, and she lives in Hayes Valley.
Okay, perfect.
But I think after a while, it's a little busy there.
Yeah, it's right by the Civic Center.
Yeah.
Right? I'm excited to see what it is because I know it's changed a lot in its own way, but also I think it kept its like eclectic charm and just that diversity and just a huge community space within itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And everything's walking distance or you can take a bus or something. Yeah.
I'm very envious of their
transportation system.
Yeah,
it's amazing. You can
super
do so
reliable.
much. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful city. I'm excited to go back. And I know, again, like as you're saying, your daughter's like making those friends and being able to look back on that, I think is super important too. And then coming home on its own, it's different as well. But like being able to reflect on the impact that you can make in your 20s as you're maybe going to college or figuring out if you're not going to, whatever path it is, I think it's nice to have that reflection and then just see who's growing with you as well.
Yeah. That's who your real friends are.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
The ones that
I agree.
Stay there.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah. I love your nails. Those
thank
really,
you.
Really cute.
Thank you. My self-care is getting my nails done monthly.
That's great.
Yeah, it's nice to just
I should have done mine.
No, well, you can treat yourself later.
Yeah, I will. But those are really pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah,
no, I'm a fan.
So what did you go to school for?
So I went to school, well, long story short, I went to a zoo magnet over in North Hollywood. So it was a science focus high school and curriculum. And I volunteered at the LA Zoo my senior year. And I loved the science aspect of it. But my English teacher for AP English was like, you are a strong writer. Let's try and see what you can do with that. And to be frank, I think it's nice to have maybe an adult that isn't our parents be like, hey, you have this direction and this passion. Let's apply it in that way. So I went to San Francisco State for a BA in creative writing. Oh. Yeah, which was, I love story, and there's story in music and fiction and poetry and script. So it was wonderful to be able to put that passion that I have to play, and maybe not career-wise, but like getting my higher education.
Right. Did you have you written any books or that type of thing? Do you have?
Yeah. So I dabbled in short story. I got a scholarship my second year at college for the remainder of 3 years that I was there. Short story of just being a first-generation Latina kid growing up in Studio City.
Right.
And maybe being the odd one out sometimes, and having those pressures of wanting to do well for your parents who are doing so much, but also about those different pressures and maybe social interactions while growing up. So I was able to get a scholarship through that short story. And then I think it was my senior year, I won another short story award for Tilly Olson on Indigenous youth, because that is my minor that I got at San Francisco State.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Very, very, very cool.
Thank you.
I like it a lot.
Storytelling.
So, storytelling is really good. So what kind of story do you have to tell about your childhood and about how you got to where you are right now?
That is a really good question. It's funny. You know, want to know what's really funny is I haven't really written anything in probably like a good few months. And it's when you study the craft for so long, I think I put those pressures on how am I writing? Am I showing something? Am I telling it? Am I listing it? Am I actually creating a scene and setting? But I guess like with that story, parts of who I am, I think, are littered in different short stories or maybe longer fiction pieces that I am writing, maybe talking about mental health, maybe talking about some societal pressures. I know like when I personally graduated college and I didn't have a job lined up, that was a huge impact on me, and which has shaped a lot of what I am and what I do today. So I do trickle that into when I write, just kind of humanizing who we are as humans, and it's okay if we're not getting things right the first time, and that's okay.
Yeah, we're just humans.
Oh, yeah.
We're just humans, we're all doing the best we can with what we know.
Yeah, and I think like giving ourselves grace, like this is our first life, and like the same way that maybe interactions with our parents or like just different maybe generations sometimes, like this is all of our first lives. So let's give ourselves that grace and maybe use that as a teaching mechanism or method for everyone, because we all have a lot to learn from everyone. And I think that's, again, being human aspect. It's okay not to know what's going to happen next.
Sure. Some people need to know, but we'll never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to just kind of let it go.
Yeah. I agree.
So tell me about how did you get into American Foundation for Suicide Prevention?
I always like to say I like to work with people for people.
Right.
And that's what I knew I wanted to do. There were so many options at the time, but I didn't want to settle for something. I think being like mid to late 20s, I didn't want to just take something because I had to. And so it took a very long time to find where I am today. And they actually found me. Which was really, really
Louisa?
nice.
Did Louisa find you? Or?
So a recruiter found me, and then I connected to Louisa Roque, who is our former ED with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for the LA chapter, and really just hit it off the bat with her in just understanding who the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention was. I myself hadn't heard of the organization before, and then just did really a deep dive into the community and grassroots work that happens on the chapter level, which I knew I really, really wanted to do. It's teaching, it's building space, it's listening, like how you're doing this space with so many people yourself, and I love that.
Listening.
So being able to listen, tell a story, but also I think, again, provide that safe space for people as well.
Sure.
Yeah. And so with them, I'm a programs manager, as you mentioned. And so I work in the educational realm of the organization, talking about prevention, safe language, how to talk about mental health. Let's remove the stigma in talking about it. It's okay not to be okay, and let's reach out and have those conversations. And a wide scope within the mental health and suicide prevention realm too. It's talking about support for those who have a loss or know someone who may have struggled, and just really taking the opportunity to empower someone to reach out. Don't assume don't assume someone else is going to do it.
Right. I remember thinking about that, and after I talked to you, and it's like, oh yeah, so and so looks kind of sad, and actually, I always look for people that are sad and lonely. I mean, every time I see like a homeless person, my heart breaks. And the other day, I saw this kid, and I was like, oh, where'd he go? Because he took off, and you just don't know what somebody's going through, and so don't assume that his mother knows what to do, or a friend, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, the more we learn, the more stories we hear, we know that we really have to look for signs. And so you might want to talk a little bit about the programs.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I know you go to middle schools and high schools, and you've talked to thousands of kids. So what do you talk to them about?
Yeah, so I guess the spiel on like our programming too, and again, I say spiel because it's being familiar with it, but also loving to talk about it. We have a wide variety of programs with AFSP, but as you mentioned, just kind of maybe honing in on the youth aspect, because that's my former career background. So supporting our young people and supporting all of our community members is a huge passion. But being able to bring like a youth background into talking about prevention within suicide and also talking about mental health really just hits home in a wonderful way of just being able to talk with youth. And they understand what's happening. They understand when a peer is struggling or they're hearing something on the news or within their spaces. So it's really elevating their voices in that realm as well. But within our youth program, we talk about warning signs for when our mental health isn't doing its best, really talking about it on that same level we do our physical health. And I always say, and it's something that I love being able to talk about too, it's with people, it's physical health and mental health are just as important. And just because we can't see one doesn't, take away from it. Doesn't mean just because I can't put a bandage on it or you don't see me in a cast or something, it doesn't make it any the less important or valuable. So we talk about that with the kids, safe relationships too, what's happening at home. Who are your trusted adults? And I always tell the teachers and parents too, it's don't blame something on a case of adolescence,
right.
And I love telling that to kids too. I'm like, do you have a case of adolescence today? And they're like, what does that mean? But again, it's bringing that humor to like being a teenager and, being a young person today, which has a lot of its ins and outs, but it's making what may be a scary topic to people approachable,
right.
And a learning opportunity within that realm. And that's just like within the youth aspect of it. But we have programs for adults and seniors, working places. Again, if we're talking about physical safety in different spaces, we have to talk about mental health safety as well.
Right.
Not just assuming that one thing we're seeing is the cause for someone's struggle. There's going to be a deeper page, a deeper look, a deeper meaning, what is actually happening. And I know I shared this with you too. I was on the phone with someone and I saw a fire on the side of the road and I called someone and they said, oh, someone else will call.
Right.
And, and it's taking that lesson that like, let's not assume.
Right. Let's not assume.
Yeah. So like having that conversation and finding ways to ask, are you okay? Like, you seem really tired. What's going on? So again, humanizing us in this topic of checking in and making it approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long spiel.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. I think when kids start acting different, like different schedules or people isolating, I think those are signs. And so I think I wrote down somewhere, well, actually, I had a couple of people on my show, the last one that was on my show, and I talked to him this morning because he wrote a book called The Coffee's in the Fridge. And I asked him what would be a good question to ask. So his question was, what do you suggest is the best way that someone can start down the path to getting the help that they need? This is for a person that is suffering in a crisis and other family members in their life. He said, I think that people get stuck in how to take that first step.
Absolutely.
So what do you suggest if somebody's feeling uneasy or you see somebody that they look like they need help? What would the first step be?
Yeah, I mean, and again, like using maybe personal experience or just those close to me, like seeing someone I know struggle and they're talking about it or showing it in a different way. Maybe they're posting about it. Maybe they're not actively communicating it. My spidey senses are going off a little bit because I know my friends, I know my people, and something's up. And I think, the question, are you okay, can be very scary because we don't want it to sound forced.
Right.
You know, and I think as humans and knowing people and knowing ourselves, it's finding a way to ask that in a way that works for us.
Right.
Like maybe I have a friend who's just really stressed with shows and work and life, and I'm like, maybe she needs to get out of the house for a moment. It's like, hey, do you want to go get coffee? Do you want to take a walk? And reading that space. And maybe if they do say yes, it's, hey, I know you're going through a lot. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
So it's finding within ourselves, like that script, so to say, that can work for us.
Yeah, because everybody's different. Like,
yes.
My son and daughter are totally different. If I asked one thing, it would be totally different than the other, or how I would approach them. So we have to really think about it. Sometimes I'll just check in with a friend and say, hey, how you doing? And it's like, oh, perfect timing. Thank you for getting a hold of me. And people do that with me too.
I agree. And I think that's a huge point that I think people miss, that just asking, how are you doing, just opens that door. Like maybe someone hadn't been asked that in a few days.
Right.
And it's not something that at the end of the day that's going to cause us a lot of concern, or maybe it could be, but maybe they just need an outlet to talk. Again, we work remotely sometimes as well. So just, are you okay? How are you doing? And maybe they want to tell you a funny story or a podcast that they listen to as well, just something about their day that can really ground them back to who they are, I think is a wonderful opportunity.
So I think a lot of people are on automatic pilot. My husband used to say when we would get together with people, he's like, what are you thinking right now? It's like, well, you don't want to know.
The autopilot, yep.
So ironically, after I talked to James, Stephen called. He was my third person that came on the podcast. He's a really cool guy. And so he called me by accident. And I was like, wow, I don't know if that was an accident. I'm talking to American, Suicide Prevention today. And so his question is, what is the most misunderstood thing about American Foundation for Suicide Prevention? Like, what do people misunderstand about it? And the people, what could be a misunderstanding of the person you're talking to? Does there seem to be something that might be misunderstood with what you're doing?
I don't think misunderstanding, but I think like a door opener to a wide variety of conversations. When people see American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, like when we table in public or at different events, the first look sometimes is, what are you doing here?
Right.
What is this name? Why are you here? Or oftentimes perhaps people say, I don't need this, and it's again, every person has its own interaction and maybe connection to this topic. But I guess like a fun question that we get when we're tabling is, are we the crisis line?
Oh.
And the answer is no. But as an organization on the local level, on the national level, and through advocacy, we support and promote these resources that are available at our fingertips for all of our people, for all of our community members, via text, via phone call, via messaging. And we support and work with wide variety of different organizations to promote this resource that is a huge conversation starter for people. So that's a fun one. I wouldn't say complicated. I think that's a fun one because it's an opportunity to share about what's happening locally, what other resources are available outside of maybe like a nationwide crisis response number, but also like talking locally as well. But I think too, if I could dial back, like when we are tabling and folks are just very abrasive to this conversation. And again, it's, I think in my role, and fortunately with many of the people that I'm able to work with, again, it's making a topic and perhaps this word suicide maybe not be so scary anymore. It's removing the fear and talking about it, because maybe asking that scary question, and it's something we talk about within our programs, can be that life-saving measure of it's a very scary ask. And I will be honest, I've had to ask people that, and it stops you.
Right.
It does. And again, that's us as human, and it's taking that time to process it, but being able to ask someone or just talk to them about their crisis perhaps, and opening that space and giving them a platform of open listening, open-ended questions. In that way, we can learn so much about what's happening or what they're dealing with as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good point. He also had another question. He's like, what have you learned about healing at your job? And how do you take care of your own mental health?
That is a good one. Yeah.
So what have you learned new about healing? I'm sure you have.
I love that question, because it's actually a question I haven't been asked recently, but I've heard it a lot. And as you were saying, like, my go-to answer is that it's non-linear. There's no timeline or a timer or a next chapter or path when we're supposed to be able to say, I'm okay now. Mm-hmm. Healing takes time. Everyone does it differently. I think from interactions that I've had, like, folks will be able to go through a day or a moment in time while healing, and then something will remind them of something. And that is part of the healing process. It's about perhaps looking at it as a memory, as a moment of reflection, as something to be fond of, something to learn from. So healing, like all of us human, like it's not going to be one and the same, I think. And I think that's the beauty in it. It's giving us that time and grace with that as well.
That's exactly what we were talking about. It's like you can smell coffee or cigarettes or something. It reminds you of your past, or, and you're like, am I there right now? Like all of a sudden you're just, so we're interesting as humans.
It is. Yeah.
So I was reading in the notes we were doing, what do you say to somebody that's struggling? And you said, talk in private, take them seriously. Can you imagine if somebody like opens up and they're like, you're kidding. You're going to try that or something? Why? Stay with them.
Yeah. I think, if you're like how you just asked about like checking in and like talking with someone, and they start opening up about a struggle, maybe they're really acknowledging that their mental health is struggling. It's, again, finding a quiet space. Maybe it's home that's stressing them out. Maybe it's inviting them out to go do something. And I think paying attention and listening, but also like giving ourselves as human and them as well, that we're not going to have all those answers and resources right as we're having these first time conversations. So it's honestly, like, again, having asked this question, it's thank you for telling me. Thank you for trusting me with what you're saying, and we will help find answers, or we will connect you to a resource, or just asking. And maybe if the answer, again, and it has happened where it's a no, I'm not having these thoughts, but thank you for asking me. And then it's like, well, what can I do for you to offer support? It's maybe finding an online therapist. Maybe it's actually talking about, hey, you maybe need to take a break from your work life because it's causing you this stress. So it's paying attention to the conversation that we're having, maybe right then and there, but also to like those other stories that they've been telling us as well, because it could be a trickle effect in its own way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then how's the question, the question of like, how do you take care of yourself? Because you're hearing a lot of things, and you've been doing this for 3 years now?
Yes, 3 years now.
Yeah. And during COVID, right? Or right at the end of COVID?
I joined 2022. So
2022.
And again, like through research and data, like we've seen the trickle effect of increases. So it's coming in like at the tail end of the pandemic, quote, because I'm like, it's still around in its own way, right? But
right, it is. It is. There's a lot of vacant spaces.
The whole of that happening. So it's interesting with that. But I guess, and I know I've talked to you about it too, but it's interesting finding that self-care space and practicing it, especially maybe listening to stories from other friends and maybe in this weird work way where the work brain doesn't turn off in that realm. I'm like, oh, I'm hearing something that I talk about within this program. And it's oftentimes really trying to turn that brain off. And my friends know I'm a safe space for them. They're a safe space for me, but it's really being vocal and honest with my community and my spaces. I'm like, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to take this space. Work is my schedule, whatever, if it's that 8 to 5, 8 to 6, or Monday through Saturday or something like that, but then really structuring it for myself. I'm type A, I guess, in that fun way where I like structure. So
you like structure.
If my work day is done, it's going to the gym. I love boxing. I love taking it out on the bag.
Oh, how fun.
It's fun.
I'd love to see that.
Let's go, Patty.
I tried kickboxing and I wasn't very good.
It's a fun outlet to like just literally take it out on the bag. I know as like I was having a really bad anxious moment a few years ago. It was just related to health and just mind. And I remember going to class and just being like, I need to like, screw you, paranoia. Like, so it's maybe talking to ourselves. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's punching it out.
Yeah.
I junk journal sometimes. Like
journal?
I will just blot away in my journals, whatever I'm thinking of. I'm like, let's just leave it on the page and I'll write it down and I'll listen to music. Music is healing in that own way for me. I love, I don't know. It's really finding what works for us. And it's, like that self-care. We can all talk about sleep and eating and movement and they're all important. I'm never going to say they aren't.
Right.
But we also have to find what works for us. I am guilty. I love doom scrolling on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's
sending
almost
things.
Impossible.
You can't.
Yeah.
But also, like, I can share that with my friends, and they're going to laugh about it with me. So it's finding those things. But it's really, I think, with structure and, like, in this new remote environment, sometimes where we have our offices in our homes, it's important to really set those boundaries for ourselves. I'm like, okay, this is my schedule. And it's okay if I'm going over a half an hour, but really taking the time, I'm like turning off the laptop, putting the phone away. And taking a step back. And maybe that's just sitting and stretching or meditating or going on a walk, but taking that time to really disconnect before maybe going on to another activity.
Right. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. It's finding what works for us, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. So we talked about observing the signs and stuff. And I really like the one that we might be the only one reaching out to the person. Don't assume or, actually, on the way here, I saw a kid get hit on a bike. Like, I think it was like one of those electrical bikes. And it was on Olympic, so it was super busy. And then when I was coming up the other street, there was like a fire truck and an ambulance right there with something happening. I'm like, wow. In like a half hour, 2 things were happening. There's like, and luckily, I didn't see anybody on their phone calling 911 when this kid got hit, but there was like a zillion cars. And I didn't actually, but I should have probably. But he was sitting there and he was on his phone. Yeah. So I think he was okay.
I feel like taking that moment of pause for ourselves too is important. It's like, okay, I wanted to do this, but I saw it and it's okay if I missed it at that moment too. Like I do that sometimes. Like, oh shoot, I should have called. I should have done this. And then like maybe just taking that pause, and then sometimes there is someone that is going to. And then I think us as society, it's moving away from this like me, like tunnel vision, always on the go kind of mentality. So yeah, giving ourselves that grace of like, I am worried, I am concerned of maybe what just happened, but also saying that they're okay and like taking that time to recognize that, I think is, it makes us who we are as people.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember asking you, what would you say to your 8-year-old child, or your 8-year-old self when you were growing up?
Yeah. It was funny. I was looking at it because I have it saved on my phone now, too.
I wrote it down.
I think it was something.
Do you want to read it?
Yeah, let's see.
Well, I don't know if you can read my writing, but.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, it was so to my younger self, I would truly want to say, like, be patient. Like, you will be proud of yourself. And I remember like talking to you, like at 8 years old, I didn't feel cool. I didn't think I would ever feel cool. But what is cool?
Right.
It's being proud of what you can accomplish, what what you can do with work, what you can do with friends, places that you'll go. So that for me, for my younger self, it would be that like maybe a pat and just like be patient. You will be proud of yourself and
cool.
where you're going.
You're cool now. I can attest to that. Was there any stories or anything, I don't know if you could say them and not say the names. Was there anything that really touched you as far as what you learned about or somebody you helped or just something that is inspiring that you saw?
Yeah, I get
this job.
Within this, it was interesting too because you were just talking about warning signs of like what we talk and see and may hear and paying attention to like those external surroundings, but also like virtually in person, noticing what they're moving away from. We just did a community program at the end of September, which is Suicide Prevention Month. And we were doing Talk Saves Lives, an introduction to suicide prevention, which I like to say is the AFSP flagship program on suicide prevention, the data, warning signs, talking about risk factors as well, maybe things in our DNA, our biology, our family history, our circumstance or experiences. And we had a participant who had recently lost someone to suicide. And it was one of those kismet moments. My friend's been using that word, kismet. Kismet, just bringing things together in that magical way. And she shared that she had just moved from a new state here to Los Angeles and saw the social post for this. And she had been putting off maybe doing this conversation for such a long time and then saw something on social media that just kind of flicked a light on of like, this is my time. I don't know what I was going to do today, but I saw that this is happening. So I really want to go. And so I think timing is magical. Timing is scary. Timing is important in that own way. And so it's moments like that where, again, we're building a space for something that might be uncomfortable for people who aren't familiar to the topic, but also a space for those who lost someone or have a family member or a personal connection to struggling with thoughts of suicide, self-harm, or just different means within our own lives. So it's those moments where we're building that space and folks want to come up to us and share and say thank you. And I always say thank you to them for being here or being there with us because it's taking that first step, which is really scary, but can be so impactful for them. And it's beautiful to have those conversations. Like I know we have our Survivors of Suicide Loss Day events that happen annually. They are the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
It is?
Yeah.
Is that the actual day? I didn't know that there was a day for that.
On the 22nd of November, annually, nationwide and internationally.
Okay.
And it's a moment of community and folks who have a loss and have a connection, but building a space of laughter and emotions and resources, but also connection. And we have a couple throughout our chapter and also AFSP nationwide as an organization with chapters in all 50 states. All the chapters are hosting these events. And I won't get too specific, but one of my moments when I first started was we were packing up after the event. It was beautiful. We had speakers. There were breakout rooms and activities, lunch. Everyone loves an opportunity for connection. And we were cleaning up and I was bringing stuff to my car. And I saw two folks who had arrived to the event by themselves, walking out to the parking lot and just talking and laughing and exchanging information. And it's something where loss of any type can feel very isolating.
Right.
And then talking about suicide and talking about it as a cause of death as well is super important in removing the stigma for that. But seeing community being made, that like those are those moments. And I know like Kayvon at the walks with performing, like the Out of the Darkness walks as well. It's not a community that we would think we'd be a part of, but having community is so important of, again, that laughter, the emotions, the tears, taking those big breaths, our bead ceremonies, which I know you've
Can you tell a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I know Kayvon, fall 22, fall 23?
22.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember.
My years are blurring
it's 22
together.
or 23?
I think 23.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my
It
gosh.
could have been 23.
That's when I first met
Yeah.
you. Yeah, 2023. So with the Out of the Darkness walks, they happen nationwide through all the chapters within our organization, but we have a portion of our program, which is called the bead ceremony. And there's these beads of multiple variety of colors that correlate to a connection. We have a blue bead, which I believe is in support of suicide prevention resources and community organizations and just support of that mental health space. We have different color beads that can reflect on the loss of a spouse, a parent, a child, or a loved one, and a different bead color for those that struggle with mental health. And I will be honest, one of the first times my parents came to the event, I was wearing my beads, and they took the time to go around that lap and look at everything's meaning. And I think having those beads too, again, is that other reminder that we're not alone.
We're all together.
Yeah. On that. And then we have a ceremony where different community members and staff members will come up and read the name of the bead and the color. And we invite everyone to hold them up and to take that opportunity that in our healing journey, in our loss, in our grief, in our growth, that we're still not alone in that regard. And it's beautiful and it's impactful. And I always have to take like a big few breaths after, you know, but it's powerful being in the space of community. And I think that's something I will always treasure about this role and what I'm able to do with my coworkers, with our volunteers, with our board. It's connecting and having those conversations.
It's a really beautiful thing. I remember when they did the bead ceremony, I wasn't quite ready for it. And so when it was happening, I didn't even dare look back when and then I did look back and I was just like, it was so overwhelming. And I remember just looking around at people, but everyone was so supportive of each other. And that was really, really special.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's strange. I'm a hugger. I love hugging and it's something wonderful, I think, seeing each other at this event, or maybe not just at this event in general, but again, it's that, again, reminder that we're all connected and people and human and doing our thing.
Oh, I totally
and just
get
that reminder, because we forget about it sometimes. I forget about it sometimes.
Yeah. I give rocks. That's what I do. You're a hugger. And so I gave this woman I said, can I give you a rock? And she had this cute little daughter that was dancing. So cute. So I gave her a rock and she goes, can I give you a hug? And it was, we gave and we gave each other a hug and it was just so special. You know, it's like like we understood each other and it was just, it's a really beautiful community of people.
It is.
About just understanding each other, trying to help them, understand them, and bring awareness. And I think you're doing a great job at bringing the awareness.
Thank you, Patty.
So did you talk about 988 and what people, if they need help or they're struggling? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk about
so
that.
988 is a crisis line that folks can text, give a ring, do a message or chat. And it's an opportunity to connect with a person on the other end of the phone, a trained professional. I know through DD Hirsch, we have the teen line where it's youth volunteers answering the phone as well.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, so DD Hirsch is another organization that we partner with and work with and get to interact with. Same with NAMI as well. And so having these crisis lines, I think it's, again, we're so technology forward now, right? So being able to call or text, maybe if we're just stressed, we can give 988 a call. If we are having thoughts of suicide or we know someone who is, giving 988 a call as you're maybe accompanying someone or offering a space of support, we can do that as well. And encouraging someone in crisis to call 988, again, at their own time and pace as well. But it's available 24/7. And again, it's just a wonderful option that's taken a long time of advocacy as well to get to where it is. One of our board members as well was just up in Sacramento working on a bill. I think it's AB 27. I'll have to double check. But talking about getting the Trevor Project crisis line on student ID cards as well. just, again, having that accessibility, I think, is so important. I know, like, through SAMHSA, as another example, you can order resources and card magnets for 988 in English and Spanish to have on your cars as well, different stickers and things.
Yeah.
So I think just creating that awareness that 988 is available
Yes.
is super, super important.
I was curious, like, maybe I should call and see what they actually do. But it's really nice to have that. And now, and even like the texting option, I think it's 74141 or yeah. To some people, it might be too shy to call. So it's like, hey, I'm struggling. And it's like somebody will answer back, not in an hour, right? Like right away, pretty much, because it needs to be probably a right away thing.
And two, it's something we talk about within our programs, like Talk Saves Lives, as an example, like what happens when you call the 988 line. Someone will connect you, ask about language options, perhaps, and start asking questions, giving a platform. And there are moments where folks may not have the best interaction with 988. Perhaps there is a wait time or there is a pause. But again, it's encouraging folks to give it another try.
Right.
Let's call it again. Let's text it again, knowing that it is available. Because I think too, it's an opportunity. It's like going to therapy, like being able to talk to someone who doesn't know me from my childhood, from my back history, but being able to perhaps give the whole spiel of what it is that you're going through. I know I've connections that have called when they've felt overwhelmingly stressed and they weren't sure what it was that they were going through. And so calling 988 for a multitude of different reasons when it connects or concerns your mental health is and should be a well-shared option and resource as well. I think it would be, what I love to talk about is when our community can host and maybe build a space of resource and story and understanding of different connection to perhaps suicide or mental health struggle, but also just using platforms perhaps as well. Like talking about our education programs for a moment, like we have a campaign that we work with called Seize the Awkward, where we've worked with athletes and musicians and folks on a different level to talk about their mental health, perhaps struggle as well, and being able to put that in programming. Talking about community events. I know like Kayvon with the concert as well, and like the slideshows that were up there as well. And just, again, that reminder that you are not alone. And last year we did a Talk Away the Dark panel with a local director and an actor and a few members of our board. And it is called Talk Away the Dark, and it is available to view on YouTube.
I actually watched part of it. And it was interesting because it's not easy to talk. You can be like the best actor in the world and director, and then all of a sudden you're talking about mental health, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
So that was good that you did that.
It was wonderful just to be a part of the planning process, but again, just being in, I think, a space of that, of where we're talking, kind of like how we've been talking we're talking about maybe warning signs, what to keep an eye for that people are saying or doing, but then also just talking about wellness overall and things that we're seeing around us and who to check in with, how to have those conversations. But I think, again, those safe spaces are what really make that impact. And if it's something that folks can do virtually or in person, we want to see it. I think it's empowering to do it in that way as well. But again, using audience and story and film or music in that own way, it just there's a story within everything, and it's just taking that time, I think, to be patient for ourselves, patient to learn, patient to listen, patient to pay attention to what's around us, because we can't all walk with tunnel vision all the time, and I think just being aware of what's happening to the person next to us or the person in front of us. Why do they look sad? What are they going through? So taking that time, I think, is super important.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love all the awareness. I think it's really good information, and the more it's talked about, the better. And then the less, people will do this, because like James, the guy that was in my last podcast, he was like, depression, it's 95% fixable.
And I think, too, how you were talking about being aware of mental health struggle or concern or really like IDing them, it's important too. And talking about depression as an example, it's if we can take the time to notice and maybe open those conversations. Like within our programming, we talking about physical health and mental health on that same realm, but opening these conversations with our physicians at our annual physicals, I think, and again, it brings both of them to light. But when folks are opening up about a struggle of depression or anxiety, perhaps bipolar struggle or OCD in just different ways, it's finding treatment that works for them. And perhaps that's therapy and medication or just therapy. And again, it's how we were talking about healing as linear. Treatment isn't linear as well. It's finding what works best for folks as well. Yeah, and I think it's, again, humanizing it. It's okay to talk about our struggles, and we might meet someone who has resources that we haven't thought of. One of our panelists was a Teen Line volunteer for a very long time at a young age. And again, I think having those role models or having these names and people or familiar faces that are talking about mental health and reaching out can be such a huge impact. So we love to see it.
I'm really thankful for what you do and your organization does. And I encourage everybody to reach out, to volunteer, to be parts of these events in whatever way they can that would work, and work together as a community, because I think that's one thing that's really missing, especially in Los Angeles. It's really hard to have community. And so go to the events and be part of them.
Absolutely.
And so thank you so much for everything. I always end my podcast with what my mother said. And you really are loved just the way you are, more than you know. And thank you. You're going to be a forever friend now.
Thank you, Patty. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's the end of the podcast for today. But if you like this podcast, please subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts soon. So please subscribe. Thank you.